These videos where you fall through the feed on social media work really well because they trick your brain while you're scrolling. Here's how to create your own.
So the first step is you need to take at least one picture where you can see your full body. If you don't have one, here inside ElevenCreative, I'm simply going to take a reference image of myself and then use a prompt to turn that into a full body shot. All we have to do is click on New Flow, and to get started, you can click the first link in the description down below. And here you want to upload a picture of yourself. I already have one right here in my reference assets that I'm simply going to drag and drop onto the canvas. And you'll notice that this isn't a full body shot, and so we're going to go ahead and use AI to generate one. To do this, we simply drag a connector from the node and then click Edit Image. And here we want to use this simple prompt. With this prompt, we just want to make sure that we tag the original reference asset to keep the facial likeness as much as possible. Here, we then want to change the aspect ratio to 9:16, and we can change the model to Nano Banana 2, just like this. And now we want to change the resolution to at least 2K, and we can simply click Run. But of course, if you have your own photo already, you can simply go ahead and drag and drop this onto the canvas. Now we need the last frame where we land on the floor. And so here what I'm going to do is drag a connector, choose Edit Image node, and paste in this prompt. I simply want to make sure that I match the settings to the previous generation. And so here, once again, I'm going to go ahead and select Nano Banana 2, and we're going to change the aspect ratio to 9:16 and simply click Run. And while that generates, I'm now going to create the same image here, but without me in it. This way we can have the empty space as a reference. So once again, simply drag a connector, click Edit Image node, and we'll use this simple prompt. And now we have all of our assets, we can go ahead and generate the style frames between before turning them into a video. And so here on my Flows canvas, we're going to be using this generation as a reference for all the style frames that we're going to generate. And then what we're going to do afterwards is generate a video between the empty frame and the frame where I fall face flat on the floor. But to generate our style frames, we're simply going to drag a connector from the reference image, click Edit Image, and now we're going to use different style prompts for our different frames. And all of the prompts that we're going to use in this video will be available in the Flows project that we'll link down below. The first prompt, if we take a look, is for a retro 90s anime style. Here, as you can see, we're simply tagging the reference image in the prompt and saying that we want to keep the identity and the likeness of the reference image. That way you can actually go and replace the image with your own and get the same output. And then after that, we're doing a few different things. The second paragraph is adjusting the layout and the pose of my body. So we can see that the head is tilted forward to the left, the legs are raised towards the upper right. But whatever pose you choose, you just want to make sure that it's consistent throughout of your prompts. So this section, you will reuse it in all of your prompts. And then finally here, we've got the final section to the actual style prompt. And so here we're describing the style that we want to go for. And then at the end, we have a little bit of a negative prompt. And this is essentially just saying what we want to try and avoid in this generation. Now these prompts are fully customizable, but as long as you keep the likeness and you have a unique style with a correct pose that looks like you're falling, you should be good. So we simply paste in the prompt, and then we want to simply tag it by adding the @ sign and then tag the previous reference image. That way we're just telling the model to be extra sure to use this specific reference image, so we have the likeness throughout all of the frames. And then for the image model that we use, here I'm going to use GPT Image 2 as I prefer the style outputs of GPT Image 2, but once again you can go and use whichever model you want. And then we just want to make sure that we're generating at the highest quality and the highest resolution. And so once we've done that, we can go ahead and click Run. And now you simply have to repeat the process for as many styles as you like. And so now we've got our 3 style frames, we can go ahead and turn these into videos. And to do this, we simply want to drag a connector and choose video generation from our style frame. And then we'll use a prompt that looks just like this. At the top, we're telling the model that we're using the full scene as the reference for this shot. After that, we're giving the video model the style and mood. And so while we're already telling it to use the image reference as the style and the mood, we're also describing it again just to make sure that the output is consistent. And then below this, we've got a dynamic description of what is going to happen, which includes the movement of the character within the shot and then the actual movement of the character and the scenery. And so as you'll notice, we want to start with no character visible, and then we want him to fall in from the top and then fall out of the bottom. That way, when we create this scroll effect, it will look like it's falling through the entire feed. And so here we paste in the prompt, and then we simply want to make sure that we've selected Seedance 2.0. The aspect ratio is 9:16. For the resolution, you could go straight up to 4K, but for social media, it's not really necessary as it will compress your resolution anyway. And if we generate at 1080p, it will cost us less in Seedance 2.0 credits. And if we we do want it as 4K, we can upscale it later. Once we've done that, we then want to go ahead and choose the duration. With Seedance 2.0, the duration is a minimum of 4 seconds and a maximum of 15. And we want this shot to be pretty quick. And so we want it to happen within 4 seconds. And so we're going to go ahead and select a 4-second duration. But before we click run, we want to change one important thing. Right here, the node is currently connected up as a start frame. This means that Seedance 2.0 will start generating the animation from this frame. However, we don't want our character to be in the middle of the scene at the beginning of the shot. So what we need to do is drag a connector from the style frame all the way into the image reference section. That way we're using the style frame as an image reference and not as a start frame. And once we've done that, we can go ahead and click run. Here, we can now rinse and repeat the process for the rest of the style frames. And while these are generating, we can now go and create the video of me falling back into the original location. And to do this, I'm simply going to drag a connector from the last frame and use it as the end frame. That way here, we're going to generate the video between these two frames, and we can do so with a simple prompt just like this one. And once again, I'm just going to change the resolution to 1080p and keep the duration at 4 seconds and click run. And now to open up the video, we want me falling through a sinkhole. And here you can use any effect you want, but sinkhole is probably one of the most effective. And to do this, we simply rinse and repeat the process. So drag a connector, click video generation, and here we paste in a prompt that looks like this. And once again, we use the same settings. And while these are generating, we're going to grab one more asset from our phone. Here, we're going to head to Instagram and we're simply going to screenshot this little UI box at the bottom. And this is the Instagram element that we're going to put between the different shots to make it look like we're falling through the feed. And here you can either go and screenshot just one and reuse it, or for an even better and more realistic effect, you can screenshot multiple different ones so the numbers and the description change every single time. Then we simply send this over to our laptop and now we can head into Premiere Pro. Here, as you can see, I've dragged all of the assets into the timeline. And now the key here is to sync the movement up between each of your different generations with the little UI from Instagram. So here, as you can see, we've got the first clip where I'm falling through the screen. And so it's as simple as clicking on the clip, and here under Effect Controls, we want to add a keyframe for the position so we can animate the movement. What we want to do is go to the beginning of the clip, toggle the keyframe on, and then we adjust the clip so it's not visible and it's placed just below where we can see in the program monitor. Now we want to go to later in the clip and we change this so it moves across the screen and it's just above the program monitor. And so now if we play the clip back, as you can see, it looks like we are falling through the scene. Now the key here is to apply the same movement to every single clip. And so what we could do is we can go and copy the keyframes and then go to each of the clips and simply paste them in just like so. And I'm going to remove the audio for all three of them. And now what we want to do is actually sync these up in the order of our choosing. And so we want one to start before the next one finishes. And so as you can see, we've got this little black gap. And if I go through to the next one, we've got the same gap. And so we need this gap to be equal between the clips. And we want it to be just big enough so we can come and slide the Instagram UI in there just like so. And so as you can see, this is what a single frame from the video would look like. But of course, we also need to animate the UI. Otherwise, it's going to be overlaid over the clip and there's going to be no movement. And to do this, we can simply paste the keyframes onto the Instagram UI. But the Instagram UI, we need to see it every time we change clip. And so we want to Option, click and drag to copy and paste it. And we want to be able to basically see this multiple different times. And so I'm going to copy it one last time. And now we just need to sync it up. And so here I'm going to Command, hit the Shift key, so it syncs up perfectly with my clip. And now, as you can see, we are very close to having the final animation. The only thing we are missing is the beginning and the end. And to do this, we simply want to drag the beginning animation. And as soon as I'm out of frame, we would start keyframing from here and sync it up with the rest of our video. And then you'd also go and grab the end and apply the same keyframes, except the outro is animating in. And once you put all of that together, you get a little something that looks like this. But what if we wanted this to loop seamlessly? Well, here we go back into ElevenCreative Flows. What I want to do is I want to use these three static assets as references with Seedance 2.0, and the prompt we're going to use is this one right here that you can see on screen. We would then connect each of these static assets up as an image reference not as a start frame. And if we do all three of them and then we simply click run, Seedance 2.0 is going to use the prompts and these 3 frames as context to create something that we can split in the middle. Splitting it in the middle means that we can use the second half as the intro and then the first half as the outro. And so simply replace the intro and outro with these clips in Premiere Pro and you get something that looks a little bit like this. And that is how to create the falling through your social media feed effect. If you want access to the prompts and the Flows projects, you can click the first link in the description down below. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.